Keegan, I was also hoping you could give us some context on how U.S. operations and U.S. involvement in Mexico, in Latin and South America, has led to this flow of refugees, because that never seems to get mentioned in the national conversation around our immigration policy. It's always, these people are coming, there's a migrant caravan, we have to keep them out, they're disease-ridden, they're coming here to take your jobs. Or just, the Democratic side is ideally like, okay, we need to create a pathway for these people to come in. But it's never about how we have impacted people that would cause them to want to come here. And I don't know if this is directly connected to a migration flow, but you had a piece recently about a DEA trained unit in Mexico that was extremely dirty and operating in unscrupulous ways. Could you give us an overview of this police unit that the DEA had been backing and training?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked about sort of like I guess this is one of like the push factors, as they call it, like reasons why people are migrating and showing up at the border. And I think definitely the U.S. role in Latin America cannot be understated or ignored. So this is an example. I don't know if it's directly related or not, but it ties into it for sure, in that for the last 25 years, the DEA has funded and trained sort of a select group of federal police officers in Mexico. They're supposed to work closely with the DEA on anti-narcotics, like anti-cartel investigations. Recently, it was reported that Mexico had shut this unit down, and Mexico's president, López Obrador, confirmed this and said that this unit was corrupt. And some of the framing in the around the closure of the unit had been like, this is another blow to bilateral security operations in Mexico, shutting down an effective tool against the cartels. But I spoke to several sources in U.S. federal law enforcement who said that this unit was in fact super corrupt and was known to be corrupt for a number of years by the DEA, and they sort of had to work around that. In some cases, feeding information to agents that they knew to be corrupt by one cartel so that they would use it against their enemies, right? Which is a weird way for the U.S. to be doing business in Mexico. And I just think more structurally, big picture wise, a lot of the people showing up at the border are internally displaced Mexicans from drug war hot zones, and the U.S. has I think inarguably played a role in that. Many of them are also Central Americans, like Hondurans are a big one right now, and the government of Honduras, the U.S. is currently prosecuting the former president for being in the pocket of the cartels. So I think all of this ties together and is all sort of contributing to so many people showing up at the border and saying, we need help. We can't stay in our home country. It's not safe anymore.
I think that's ultimately the thing that comes back around every time we have these kind of discussions, especially when we talk about the cruelty being inflicted on kids especially, but migrants in general arriving at the U.S. border, is that no one, it seems like in the political class, the ruling class of the United States, wants ever to examine America's role in creating these caravans that they kind of panic about. Through this kind of political and economic destabilization, the United States has been spending the last several decades. Mexico's an example of the way that U.S.-led war on drugs has empowered these extremely powerful and dangerous criminals there that have led to the destabilization there. You mentioned Honduras, where the United States has been destabilizing the government there. El Salvador, Venezuela, Nicaragua, they've been all over Central and South America now for years, have been destabilizing these regions, which has led to these caravans, which has led to groups like MS-13 forming. And rather than examine their role in contributing to any of that, they've repeatedly doubled and tripled down on all these same policies, whether it's the economic or political interference in these countries, and have just increasingly, treated folks that are fleeing these incredibly unstable and dangerous societies, which are dangerous and unstable for a very specific reason, and then criminalizing the people that are escaping from it. And I guess that's the frustrating thing, is that not only have they encouraged all of this through their own policies, but they then spend, billions and billions of dollars on getting thrown into this very carceral immigration system, which takes the form of like militarized police, these decrepit facilities where migrants are stored. It's such a unlimited sort of money printing machine that goes to this immigration problem, which they're themselves creating. And that's the kind of extremely sort of Kafkaesque horror about, I imagine, observing all this stuff and reporting on this constantly, is just noticing constantly the way that the United States, contributes to this problem, uses this sort of carceral methods to deal with the people that are trying to retreat from these problems, and then spends countless billions of dollars just propping up this very corrupt and cruel, militarized institution to deal with the problem. Meanwhile, nothing is ever actually changing, and it's in fact only getting worse. And with climate change, we're only going to see more of these caravans and migrants seeking asylum. It's just this never-ending problem, which the United States is directly and knowingly contributing to, and punishing the absolute most vulnerable people that are being caught in the middle of it. Thank you for listening to this sample of the Insurgents podcast. To hear the rest of this episode and for more bonus content, please subscribe at theinsurgents.substack.com.